We will call this March 16th Brown County Commission meeting to order. Commissioner Reese, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. First item on our agenda is to approve our agenda.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Kipley, second by Sutton to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, we have the first reading of ordinance 190, a rezone ordinance. Giving them hell, okay?
Proposed ordinance 190. This is applicant Dave Schumacher looking to go from highway commercial district to mini ag. Legal address is Lot 1, Dave Schumacher Edition, in the northwest quarter of Section 22, C123 North, R63 West of the 6PM.
Move it. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Piker to approve the first reading of ordinance 190. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is ordinance 189, Fair Board Expense Authority Revision.
No questions, I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Piker, second by Sutton. To approve the first reading of ordinance 189. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
Want to do a couple of yours?
Yep, we can look at minutes, the general meeting minutes from March 9th.
Move.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss to approve the general meeting minutes of March 9th. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Claims and payroll.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Weiss, second by Piker to approve the claims and payroll. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
HR report.
Move. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss to approve the HR report. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Fair contract.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Piker, second by Weiss to approve the fair contracts. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Temporary malt beverage.
Move. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss to approve the temporary malt beverage license. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Claim assignments.
Move.
Moved by Kipley, second by Weiss to approve the claim assignment. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Weed and pest grant.
Move. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss to approve the weed and pest grant. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Weed board appointment.
Move. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss to approve the weed board appointments.
Who are we appointing?
Weedabush and Dark.
Oh, just renewing them?
Renewing them.
Okay.
Mhm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
For some
Motion
reason,
carries.
it's a board that a lot of people don't want to just jump on.
Yeah.
Move. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss to approve the abatements. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to the next item. I guess we're just a little bit ahead, but not much. We're talking about the South Aberdeen container site.
Good morning.
Morning.
Jump right up.
Here we are.
Hi, guys.
Talk trash.
Yeah. We can send this around. There's been some ongoing discussion about a south replacement site for that south container at the real fire station. I understand that we've been kind of looking at publicly owned land, and we're evaluating this location for potential use. And if it looks like it fits the needs at that point, we would have to, the commission would have to reach out, and it's owned by the city of Aberdeen, and have those discussions. So as of right now, I put together an estimate on a full build out. Visiting with Mike, I think initially we probably wouldn't put asphalt down, but there is some concerns on that site that I want to bring to your attention, which is the existing property owner on east and north of that L, or basically the adjacent one, that's the residence. You know, the property owner to the south is the old, was it Mueller's?
Newell.
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 Yep, Newell's old
I know where
spot there, yep. That'd be the biggest concern, I think, you know, is what are we putting next to them, and, you know, how much, whether we have to do landscaping, you know, with that. But it has nice access off Milgard. It's close to 281. I think as far as location goes, it's ideal in that regard. It's maybe a little more visible. You know, typically sites aren't too hard to maintain. My guys stay on pretty good. So it might be a benefit when it's more visible, just for security reasons, you know, with the illegal dumping. Versus having something that's kind of hidden away, tucked away, where it's not so much a public nuisance, but then you get folks that abuse it. So there's some benefits there. Any questions?
What is it zoned right now?
I don't know what.
I don't know. Yeah, I
You
don't
got
know.
some commercial
Well,
right
it's-
there, you got some residential, I don't know
Yeah.
if that's highway.
Well, if it's city owned, I don't know if it's municipal or not
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, the city does own some property further south of Newell's, but then we get close to, is that Foot
That
Creek
Craig
right
Foot
there?
Creek,
Yeah. And I wouldn't want to get too close to there, because if we do have wind-blown litter, it might be harder for Mike's guys to go swimming.
Did you do borings there?
We did some, we didn't go deep, just because we don't necessarily know what's under that site. It used to be old cars, it sounds like. So we took the topsoil off, there was probably 6 to 10 inches of gravel, and then there was more topsoil, and I didn't go past that.
Well, I think there was a feed yard there at one time. They actually.
That
had-
makes sense.
They had a stockyard
Yeah,
there
'cause
where they loaded and unloaded cattle.
Okay. That's kind of what we saw was, you know, it's pretty consistent. If we were to go into it, you know, we'd probably just take the topsoil, salvage the gravel, you know, probably build up with clay just to shape it to drain.
Is that in the floodplain?
That, I don't know if the guys were able to take a look. I don't think it is in the floodplain right there, but I'd have to look. I don't know if there's much risk when it comes to floodplain though for the waste, because all waste have to be in the containers. And we can't have anything on the ground.
What do you guys get?
Otherwise, it
Okay.
puts you to a different tier with the DNR as far as what type of site this is.
You gotta be able to get in and out, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask something, because I asked to be on the agenda kind of to discuss the South Dump Site.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. You know, he was talking about some concerns, because I've been in discussion with probably about a dozen people, you know, that are trying to stay on top of this dump site. And our biggest concern, well, you know, Dennis asked about the floodplain, because I use Melgard and 281 every day going to work. I work out at Lee Belts and I live on the Warner Road, and so I'm driving by there all the time. And like, there have been so many floods in the cemetery in the spring, so I guess I would be concerned about flooding too, just as far as access, people driving in and out, and when would it be closed, you know, when it's underwater. But my biggest concern in all of ours is the traffic. And I know that it's easy access in and out, but I know that there is high numbers of accidents on that intersection in that corner every year. I mean, we have a friend that's permanently disabled because of an accident there. My boss has been rear-ended there. I've had people pull out in front of me at the last minute and had to hit the brakes and practically go in the ditch to avert, you know, avoid hitting them. And if I need to, I guess I could go to the highway patrol and the Aberdeen Police to find, you know, but the amount of traffic that already uses that intersection has made it such a high accident area, people pulling out, people not slowing down. You got people coming in at 60 miles an hour, people hitting their brakes to make a turn, they're not watching, they're rear-ending people. It's 4 lanes across, there's no stoplights, the visibility is bad, they just get in a hurry, they don't look. I would really be concerned with the increased number of users and people that would be coming in and out of there to use the dump site, as well as the number of trucks that would have to be coming in and out. That the increase in accidents would just be astronomical. That just really scares the living daylights out of me. And that is my biggest concern on that, and I don't know if anybody has looked at that yet, or But that is our biggest concern, is the traffic accidents.
Do you have any count at all as to how many, has there ever been a counter put up to see what the,
There's no count. What did I give you last?
250 average.
250. You know,
A day.
that was just on a slower winter day, you know, I'm sure it's
It's more in the summer. Was that before there was grass gone, or what?
Yeah, that was just
Okay.
in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. And I haven't done any type of traffic analysis on that intersection or anything like that, so.
I guess in
All
order
three
to
of them.
make it the site we want to make it, to me, it's important to explore all options for a public spot. Because paying what we're being offered for land these days is just, if we can avoid that piece of it, we
Yep.
can make a nicer site. So to me, it's worth exploring all these options before we go buy land right next to Aberdeen for the prices that we're getting. So I appreciate you guys doing that footwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were out there, was that 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, whatever it was, a week ago.
Yeah.
There's traffic there, but it's not, it's not wasn't any different really than,
Well, but if you see, I mean, because like I said, if
Coming off
if you're
of
there and you're
10.
between 7 and 9 in the morning and 3 and 6 in the evening, just kids coming back and forth from school, people coming back and forth from Warner, the beef plant, the sale barn. You know, Melgard has been deemed as a bypass for semi-trucks because they didn't want them on 6th Avenue, so you got all the semi-traffic coming down there. And with an entrance, I mean, I'm assuming you're talking the entrance would be off of Melgard, not 281.
Yep.
And you've got people stopping there waiting and people getting impatient, wanting to pull in, and then someone comes off the highway. It is just a bad situation for traffic, for people coming in and out, in the opinion of a lot of people that know people that have had accidents there or had them themselves.
Yeah, and that might be something that we would have to, you know, the city might have a better handle on as far as traffic numbers and what that plan is. You know, it may require something to be done with that intersection if the, you know, maybe the highway patrol already has a recommendation to the city for improvements there, or the DOT does. Had some discussions, you know, I know, having that property owner there, you know, limits a little bit as far as how we can move that approach. You know, obviously the ideal would be to get that approach as far as we can from the intersection of Melgard and 281.
And just to be clear, are you talking a little plot of land between the house and Newell's or the one south of Newell's? Because there's 2 areas of
The
flat
house
grass.
in Newell's. The
So-
house in Newell's, yep.
Between the house and Newell's, okay,
Yep.
thanks.
But, well, I guess the biggest thing on the estimate is, this is about 100,000 more than that, the Young's property there just north of the South Sale Barn. It's a little smaller site, but unit prices have been going up. I mean, even just on fencing, it went up from $45 a foot to $70 from last summer. And that's a steel item, and most people might be aware that steel has went up significantly this winter.
steel, lumber, you name it, everything.
Yeah. But oil has gone up, when it came, or asphalt prices have gone up a little bit, you know.
Yep.
So in general, you know,
is there any
Not
interest at
going up.
all in getting a cost like this put together on the offer that we got from Jacobs, from Bob Jacobs? On the Larson welding shop? I
We
mean,
really
we've gotten
haven't.
this one now on
I haven't really
Young's.
looked
Yeah.
at that,
We've
but I guess
gotten it on this property. I just wondered,
a lot of the square feet could transfer
yeah, I
to a
think
different
the-
property.
Yeah,
Pretty similar.
the prices
Real
will be pretty similar. You know, like the Youngs, we had to fill grade, and the same thing with this location. That the site's so flat, we want to really be careful as far as what she mentioned with drainage. You know, we'd have almost a 2-foot fill alongside that house just to get everything to shed toward the
Provide
north,
enough
and then
slope
we
to
would
self-drain.
kind of have a little ditch to then head west into the highway ditch.
So if the Jacobs property was around an acre and a half, it would just be
Something similar.
multiplied out, or
Yeah.
something real similar to this.
Yeah.
but you wouldn't have the
We'd
lighting
have-
expense?
we'd have the demo.
Electricity expense,
Well, the electricity is right there.
yeah.
Yeah, this
That's what I'm
one-
saying.
yeah.
I'd be curious. I can't believe that the fill amount would be anywhere close on the Jacobs
side.
property, not even close to what you'd have.
Yeah. So it just depends, you know, for asphalt, you know, with the turning, you know, we like to see 2 to 3%, you know, so if you have you need a pretty wide site, so, you know, you got 100 feet wide at 3%, you got 3 foot higher on one end. So that means you gotta put 3 foot of fill if it's a flat site.
Well, there's a fair amount of fill that would go into Bob's site too, because he's put a ton in behind it
Yeah.
in order to get what he needs for
Yeah, but the
grade there.
drainage is pretty well created there though.
Yep.
On
Yeah, if you
Jacobs.
drive by and look at that, you know, where the dumpsters are right now and over to where Jacobs is here, it's almost level with
Maybe even
what
a little higher.
the dumpsters are right now. I mean, granted, it probably would have to be.
So there might be less fill, but there would still have to be some grading that would be involved. I don't know.
But this gives us an idea regardless of where it's at.
Right.
This one just happens
Yeah.
to be specific because there was some conversation that this piece might be available and there's pluses and minuses to all of them, so.
As far as like the Jacobs place, you know, and I know the last couple meetings we talked about like getting funding to get it ready, and it probably wouldn't happen until the next fiscal year. But we have a deadline to meet with the fire department too. As far as talking to the users that I keep communication with on this situation, their feeling is, you know, and I don't know what the cost, you know, Jacobs were asking for that property, but even if you couldn't get started on it right away, would it be, you know, they're looking at, you could just pick up the dumpsters and move them over to that temporarily until the funding gets approved, until, you know, there's time to get it asphalted or however you people want it. I mean, the users don't care about all that. All they care is that they have a dump site, and they would be happy to just drive right over into the area right next to it and just use the dumpsters while they're waiting for, you know, the approval and the funding and everything else to come through. I mean, and that is a plus for the users, that there would be no interruption of service if they could just do that also. And so that's another angle that everybody is looking at as far as the users go.
No, I don't think we'd want to work around it though. If you're going to do it, you want to do it right, put it down and out of the way.
Yeah.
But they don't want any
That's the
interruption
biggest
of
thing, is
service
to evaluate what we have on the
Understand
table and see what is going to be the best option for users, funding, and
Well, the thing of it too is that the Jacobs site, there's already, what would the right word be? There's already the issue of stray material, whereas if you go down to another site, you're going to create another whole group of circumstances and people from the wind and those kinds of
Absolutely.
those kinds of things that go on. And where the site is right now, that's already kind of accepted. I mean, you're not going to have that issue as nearly as big an issue of the acceptance of the new people that are going to be affected by the wind.
Well, and not only
yeah,
that,
any of
but
our
the
sites,
wind
I mean, that's
blowing
always an issue for us, is wind-blown litter. You know,
But
whether
you're
it's
also
the
having it
landfill,
blowing
container
across
site.
4 lanes of a highway too, a main highway, and that's dangerous also.
All right, well, that's the
Well,
information we
that's-
requested, so we
that's
have
what
an
we got.
understanding where we're at.
Should we ask them to get a run on that Larson property? I mean, something like this, or?
Yeah, I mean, we can
Well,
actually
that's-
evaluate it,
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll have some demo there and, you know, some site grading and obviously we got the same, you know, lighting, security,
Mhm.
fencing, same things we have here.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't have to pull the electricity because that is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the electricity is at the
Yeah,
site,
this one
too.
has electricity.
The pole
too.
is right there.
Right on the east end of that property, the pole in the middle of it.
Basically, your difference would be in your fill and your...
Yep.
And your
Potentially,
grade
yeah.
and your fill.
Yeah.
So let's get permission from Bob and get a number on his site too. You're okay with that?
We can do
Time
it.
permits.
Yeah, Bob called me about a week and a half ago and wondered what was happening, what was going on, and I said, well, we're still looking.
Does he seem willing to sell?
Oh, yeah, very definitely.
Okay. Because it
Very
seemed like he
definitely.
wasn't when we first started looking, but...
Yeah, we can put together some numbers on that site.
Yeah.
We'll get some numbers on that, and we'll...
Appreciate it.
See what that looks like, and we'll go forward from there.
Sounds good.
Well, since you're here, 2 sentences on the progression of the new cell.
Well, the new cell is basically, what?
Yeah.
90%?
Yeah, so the unclassified is mostly done, and that's what was the goal this winter. What they have left really is the dirt that needs to be utilized for the clay liner on the bottom of the cell. So, they did some de-watering, you know, of the bottom of the hole that's down there now. There isn't much else activity going on until we dry up a little bit and all the frost is out of the ground and,
They're out dewatering today,
yeah.
so.
I see the geese flying over.
Yep, so
I
they're
find
there,
them
but like I
open
said, the majority of the soil has been moved.
Yep.
It's just, they just gotta position it now into the right location, get the clay liner placed and drainage.
final grading, some topsoiling. But yeah, it's on schedule. They had a really, what we thought was an aggressive schedule, and they met it, so that was positive. So,
Thank you. Amazing stuff.
Thank you. Yep,
You.
you got it.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Yep.
Next item, we have a discussion on our hauling ordinance. Should have,
Cool.
I guess one of the things Ross was concerned about is in what part of the ordinance should this be placed? And I guess, why wouldn't it be in the, planning and zoning part of it, when it talks about in, facility road maintenance agreements, county manure management application setback? If you read in, on 11, number 11 in the ordinance, talks about all facilities within Brown County that cause excessive maintenance of county or township roads. Why couldn't it be, I think, as a matter of fact, I know that in McPherson County, the Planning and Zoning Department, which is run by, well, actually, it's through the Director of Equalization Office. They do the planning and zoning, and that's where the permit is granted, through planning and zoning. So why wouldn't that be where it would be?
What title are you in there, Dennis?
4.3.
Thank you.
Mhm. 4.32. And then it's number 11. 4.3203. Let's see, let's keep going here.
Okay, for those that don't have it. So all facilities within Brown County that cause excessive maintenance to county or township roads shall be required to have a written agreement with the township board or county highway superintendent stating acceptance responsibility for all additional costs incurred by the facility in maintenance of said road. Excessive maintenance shall be defined as all work and material costs incurred over and above the average cost of maintaining that specific type of road within the local government unit jurisdictions, and the type of said agreement shall be determined prior to the issue of a conditional use permit. Is that hasn't changed with our recent changes, right? Is this up to date?
I think you guys took it out, because that's part of the
Okay.
CAPO ordinance.
So that one's gone.
Yeah.
All right.
So why couldn't we add that back in to, I mean, there must be somewhere that it could be picked up and put back into the ordinance somewhere, isn't there? I mean, why would we, I guess, what do you do? Well, that wouldn't be on a CAPO, though. That would be on a reconstruction of a road, or like the wind towers and that comes under a completely different ordinance, evidently, if they're gonna be running county roads, and we have a haul agreement with a company putting up wind towers.
Right, like right now, we have a road agreement with East River Electric that's actually being executed by B&B for the 1 mile on County Road 18, 1 mile north of 12, because they've been building High Line. Or, you know, they were trying to build better access to the main WAPA lines that run through there, through the river bottom. So we had an agreement, and we also had one with that other, was that a couple years ago, when they put up the God, there was another big one that ran from
Run from Big Stone to
I'm
Nutley.
going the wrong way, but Big Stone to Ellendale.
Right.
That one we had an extensive agreements with. Now, you're not exactly in my book talking apples to apples, because a giant power company like Otter Tail or East River, you tell them, hey, you gotta take care of it, and they're usually pretty good about it. Now, I know some of the counties around us and east of us have had trouble with the wind towers on some of it. But yeah, that's usually tied to, you know, either their building permit or something like that.
See, and I guess my heartburn in this whole entire thing is the fact that they run, I mean, the VPAC plant is hauling every solitary day, sometimes 2, 3, 4 loads in the middle of the night, sometimes 2 o'clock in the morning. They run county roads, Brown County roads, to get in, and the minute they're on McPherson County roads, they're charged for running on McPherson County roads. McPherson County isn't getting tax dollars off of VPAC plant, neither is the county here, because it's in a TIF. And so we're sacrificing the abuse on the county road until they get to McPherson County, then McPherson County has a charge. And so, I mean, to me, it just makes common sense that, you know, and then the other part of it is, it's the material's got to move. It doesn't really make any difference if it's a snowstorm or, they've only got so much holding capacity. So they're going to go, when they need to move material, they're going to haul it so long as they can stay within the weight limits. They're going to be out there running, and it just seems to me like there's got to be somewhere in this ordinance that something can be put in that would allow Brown County to get something off of the wear and tear that they're putting on the county roads to haul that material. It's going to happen. Eventually, in Brown County, they're going to be hauling that material somewhere in Brown County. And so, anyway, I guess I'm hoping that we can come up with some place to put it.
Well, I'm just curious, how are they tracking it in McPherson County, and what are they charging?
I can't tell you right off the top of my head how much they're charging. $200, $250 a load. I'm not sure exactly what they're charging, but I know that they've got a scale at the plant now, and I don't know if they're collecting scale tickets or not. I have no idea.
Is the juice worth the squeeze? I mean, if you're going to regulate this and charge and the rest of that stuff, how much are we going to collect, and is it worth the trouble to do it? And if it is, fine. I'm just trying to get a feel for what that looks like for the administration of it and the tracking and the rest of that. Because what you had, for an example, is not necessarily on a per load basis. It's basically, we're going to be using these stretches of road. When we're done with it, we're going to evaluate what it looked like before, what it looks like when it's done, and we're going to restore it.
Yep.
So, you know,
It's a little different.
there's some correlation there, but it's a whole different situation as opposed to like a toll road that says every time you go across this, you're gonna, you know, ring up a charge, whatever it happens to be. But, you know, it's the same concept.
If the thing that's generating the manure, and that's the other comment I would make, is you're referring to the CAFOs. There may be sources that are unregulated that are going to generate manure, or they may be...
Or the byproducts, yeah.
Yeah, or they may be regulated differently. I think, but the state's going to track that, so that DNR is going to have some kind of reporting mechanism. There's somebody knows how much manure is coming out of those places. I mean, you gotta, it's all regulated.
Manure, byproduct, punch, whatever it happens.
Right, so I'm not sure if they call down there once a month and go, what was it reported there? It was this many, you know, this many gallons or this many tons. And then the people that are accepting it, again, that's all regulated. So whether you're taking the punch down to the Huron landfill where they'll compost it, that's all regulated, and they have the quantities that go in there. You have to report all that stuff, and the same with the manure. So the people that are accepting it, they have to have, I mean, we can't just take it out to Uncle Jim wants it and we're going to throw it in the trees. You know,
They're doing something with it, and they got to know how
they
much
got to know
they're
where it's
getting.
going, and they got to have an approved plan, even if they're going to land apply it. If you're going to take it out and And the land applied, you gotta have a plan for that, and that's all tied to surface water and this and that. So, you know, I understand what you're saying about weighing the trucks and all that, but there's gotta be a bigger way to capture it. And you know what? I've been waiting several years to even bring this up, but the thing that would solve all this is you raise the wheel tax on semis up to year 12. And I already know what kind of reaction you guys are all got spinning through your head. You haven't looked at the ceiling yet like you usually do when I say stuff like that. But, and I'm not even in favor of that. I'm not saying that. But when we're sitting here trying to figure out one way to you know, one industry, and I get your heartburn. I don't like that Glenn calls me up and tells me, yeah, we got $8,000 for our manure trucks.
I think it was last year, it was more in the $20,000 to $25,000 range. I think it was what, if I remember right, 19,000 or somewhere in that area.
For the year.
And what, yeah, but don't hold me on that.
Right.
Yeah.
How fast can you spend $20,000 on gravel?
Well, we spend about $3,700 an hour at the highway shop on average. Every hour, $3,700.
So the point is 19,000 is nothing.
No.
So that the breakup that McPherson County's got to keep up with doesn't get close to patching the holes and stuff up on 5 when they're not running 10 over to the Forbes-Wetonka Road and staying on McPherson County roads. They're running, and then plus the fact that the county's giving them a $6 million tip, so we're not getting tax money off of it to fix the roads.
So we're getting taxed on what it was before, and eventually that tip's going to be satisfied.
You know, what's that,
Yeah,
$3,000?
But, and I don't,
No,
you know,
I get where you're coming from.
I understand where all y'all are coming from, but I do have a problem with just, I mean, a truck of manure that weighs 40,000 pounds and a gravel truck that weighs 40,000 pounds is going to do the same amount of damage to the road.
Well, the difference is the gravel truck, you keep it off the road when the road, there isn't how do they say it, you don't have a storage pit that's got to be cleaned out every 2 or 3 days. That material's got to move, regardless of what the road conditions are, and that traffic's going to go. It's a little different than beans or corn and those kinds of things, because they can wait a week or 2 or 3 before they deliver. This stuff's going to move.
Sure.
And so you're going to have, I mean, McPherson County run into one hell of a mess up there 2 years ago, and they had a late March storm. It cost them $30,000 just to open the roads so they could get the trucks up to the colony to get them unloaded. Well, you think $19,000 paid for that? Never even got close.
No.
But it wasn't because of the gravel trucks were running. It was because the manure trucks were running. They had to run. They weren't running in Brown County because Brown County, I mean, the people won't put up with it. And then they haul it to McPherson County.
Yeah, my question is though, if what you're going to get out of the whole deal is $20,000, is it worth the trouble? You know, $20,000 is $20,000, but in the grand scheme of things, for all the energy that you put into it.
And
I'm just asking. I don't disagree with where you're coming from.
And I understand what you're trying to capture there. You know, and as far as, I don't feel that the county's got in, and I understand, I mean, I built the damn beef plant, I know how the manure system works, I used to manage it. But there's some culpability on the people, on the business. I mean, it's not the county's responsibility to be able to help them through their surge times, or the times when it's, you know, when it's harder for them to do business. I mean, they should put in a bigger holding cell if this is a problem for them. They should have a surge basin.
The other thing too is, I mean, there are certain industries that create more circumstances that come up, whether it's at the jail or the sheriff's office or whatever, and those are additional costs to the county or to the community too. And I mean, of the people here, I mean, the 3 of us have raised cattle. I'm not against a beef packing plant. I'm against doing what's right for the county roads and for some recovery on the fact that I mean, that's going to take a little longer to get that TIF paid off when you cut the value of the property in half from $100 million to $45 or $50 million, and then in 2018 you run $18,000 short of enough tax money to pay for the bonds, so they get a call and then they come tearing up here with an $18,000 check because they don't want the news media to hit it. And, I mean, there's some of those things that are, you know, and am I against the beef packing plant? No, absolutely not. I've got cattle that go through that plant. It's the way the whole thing is managed and how the financial part of it affects the county. That's my concern. And it's, whether it's the jail, sheriff's office, county roads, tax dollars to run the county, no matter what it is, that's the issue.
So do you want to maybe touch base with someone over there and see where they have that in their ordinance that gives them the ability to do that? Is it just a matter of putting section 11 back in that gives us the option? Not saying we have to, but we can have the conversation.
Well, I think that...
Oh, Ross has got something.
Ross-
it to everybody, you guys should have it.
Ross, you had mentioned in your, when you text us, that we possibly could put this under some kind of a clause in our solid waste management.
My concern is that if it falls under the CAFO, it doesn't apply evenly to everybody. We've got grandfathered in CAFOs that aren't really CAFOs, because they existed beforehand. I don't know if we even classify the beef plant as a CAFO. If we put it in somewhere else, like the solid waste management, then it would just apply evenly to anybody hauling manure.
I don't think the beef plant has a CAFO. They're not there long enough.
No.
Well, so being it is solid waste, it does seem like it would make more sense to put it under that heading or that.
Did you get the deal that Ross sent?
Yeah, I did. On my
Do you
phone.
think that would... 3 pages?
When did
I was
he
just
send it?
looking at it.
It would have been...
ago.
February the 23rd at 10:22.
And it looks like they're charging per day, where they're doing either a permit or a variant.
And this
And
would
I
be...
don't know what McPherson is classifying them under. I would guess a permit.
When I looked in their minutes, they have vouchers for a $1,000 refund to the colony up there, but I don't know if that deals because it says road haul agreement, $1,000 in the McPherson.
And maybe they just have a separate agreement so they don't have to enforce it through permits or their ordinance.
They're not measuring individual loads, or the rest of it's just, you know, you're gonna be doing this function and on a daily basis, here's how much.
What'd you say that was again, Rachel? Refund?
In their minutes, in McPherson County's minutes, it said something about the colony up there is getting a $1,000 refund.
I would imagine that they say that you gotta post $1,000 bond that must be posted over to cover possible road damage. So maybe that got satisfied, whatever the agreement was, and they returned the bond to the colony.
And they're just doing new ones as they go.
Because there's multiple ones in each minute that say, okay, another one for $1,000 road haul agreement.
Yep.
That's probably it then.
Well, I wouldn't be opposed to putting something in and having the conversation on a case-by-case basis, but like you said, you run into the problem of what justifies having to put on an agreement like this. What's to stop from like a big, you know, grain bin site? Or is it only when it deals with the manure? We're not going to spill over into other things. So I guess we need more information on that, because you're kind of picking and choosing who you're grabbing some fees from, I think.
Well, I think could be some stipulation too, you know, that there's an end on a wind tower project or on a transmission line project. There is an end date. With the beef hacking plant, hopefully there'll never be an end date. It'll be there, and there'll be manure moving until they do that, what Dirk is saying, dig a bigger holding pit or whatever, so they can, and then they're still gonna be moving byproducts or they're going to be moving stuff out of that plant, and irregardless. So there is some difference in.
And is it the fact that it's a plant that you're recouping this cost? versus ag products of cattle themselves or commodities, crops? Or how do you write that in there, that you're not gonna put a road haul agreement on for somebody that's hauling something else? Or what distinguishes one from the other in our language?
Well, I don't know how is McPherson County, I wonder how
They just call it manure, and it's actually in their CAFO.
Okay, so it's specifically for that product,
For
nothing
manure.
else?
So when Dennis wants to clean his lots and haul it over to McPherson County, he's subject to it too, just the same as the beef plant. And I
Use
think you
Road
have to
6
do it
and
that way.
09 when you do that.
But if I haul it within 5 miles, I'm okay.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we got rid of that too.
Did we get rid of that too, or that's?
Yeah, we did get rid of that.
There's no
That's-
limit in your mileage now.
And that's how
Remember we
McPherson
talked about how that's
sets it.
a little
which is
antiquated
fine.
with limiting people to taking the manure 5 miles, because a lot of these operations have farm ground further than that.
I think the smart thing to do would be just to form a work group, because obviously Dirk's gonna have some input. If we end up sticking it in solid waste management, Mike's gonna have some input. So maybe 2 commissioners all be involved, and then we'll get whatever department heads we feel that could help us out, and decide if this is something that we want to explore.
Thanks for the appointment, Rob.
I see your reaction over there.
Well, yeah, that would give us an opportunity too to call on,
There's some information gathering that's left to do, I think.
Yeah, because it looks like to this, it's just a flat $250 a day that you're down.
That's the way I'm reading it too.
It looks like it's a little, I mean, they have a time and a date, and starts this day and ends that day, and then you can extend it if you want. And there's also one's a conditional use situation, and the other is a variance, right? Depending on how urgent your situation is.
And I think as far as, there was a question asked about who would grant the permit. Well, I would think it would go through planning and zoning. I don't know why it wouldn't go through planning and zoning. It seems to me like that'd be the logical place to have it, that
Well,
they
if
would
it's
go.
The only reason it would be planning and zoning is if it would apply just to CAFOs. I think any county office, it'd be a matter of convenience. You go get your permit from the auditor, you go get it from the highway department, wherever. You guys do permits, don't you?
You do overweight
Yeah.
permits now, so that might be the natural fit.
And that's just,
Deals
it's
from
something to
roads.
talk about.
I think the ordinance should be in the planning and zoning or the CAFO or whatever, but as far as issuing the permit, we can do that. That's not a big deal.
Because you'd have a better understanding of what roads they're
Right.
using and the condition and so on.
Yep.
I wonder how they administer this, 'cause it says $250 a day with a 2-day maximum for the permit. You gotta get a new permit every 2 days?
Well, it'll depend on what you guys land on for verbiage, but
Interesting. A max of 30 loads may be hauled under this conditional use permit. I assume within the 2-day time.
oh,
And no
Highway
conditional
department might
use
be
will
the
be
best.
granted while load limits are in effect.
yeah. What do they do? You're alluding to the urgency of it being a continual operation. What do they do up there when load limits are on? Because we can't get out of the gravel pit right next to the colony up there when load limits are on.
I don't know, but they're running.
Lesser loads, smaller loads that would
That's
get.
the only thing I can think of. They're reducing the loads. I know the Highway Patrol have stopped them and weighed them. Now, I don't know how recent that's been, if it's
Right.
been within the last month or 2 months or whatever, but I know that they've been stopped on 5 a time or two.
Trying to keep that last mile on 5 crappy so we'll quit driving on it, but it's not working.
Well, can you
Go
do
ahead.
that? Can we tell them they can't drive, manure hauling trucks can't drive on 5? Make them drive on 10 over the Forbes-Watauga Road and go north on the McPherson County Road?
Well,
Hey.
if Dirk's issuing the permit,
Well, yeah, we
then yeah,
can,
you
but
can say, your permit is to drive on this road, take this route. And that's probably why he's the best place to do it, is because he'll know the road conditions and be able to say, no, we don't want you on that road today.
Oh, now that 10's open.
Yeah, that helps.
Well, then they can drive 9 because that's state patched
Oh,
anyway.
Well, and I gotta tell you guys, philosophically, I got a problem with 2 trucks that weigh the same. I don't give a crap what's in them. They're both gonna hurt the road the same way. With some variables with your suspension and your all that kind of stuff. So, I'll do what you tell me to do, don't get me wrong, and we can certainly issue the permits through there. But, I mean, it's a little tricky for me if the beef plant calls, or anybody, or Nielsen's, and back to your 2-day deal, you know, I would assume, and I'm not you guys know more about shit than I do, but, you go clean out or pump out your lagoon, or you clean the pit out of your hog confinement, or whatever, you pump that, or, you know, I'm thinking over by Millbank where I worked on a lot of that, they pumped it, or you trucked it out, or Hamlin's come and clean it out and take it out in the field or whatever, that probably only lasts a couple, 3 days at each site. So maybe that's the 2 days on the thing, back to agreeing with Dennis's point that it's an ongoing thing, you know, but we got a lot of wind blades that come out of the propeller plant. We get a whole $10 a blade for that, and then remember when they wanted the intersection put in, they said, well, who's got all the money for all those permits? And I said, well, we got the $4,800 you gave us, that'll build a hell of a road over there, you know? So
That doesn't pay for the engineering.
So I don't have a problem with doing them and issuing the permits and doing that part of it, once you guys have kind of got the framework in there. But I'm just thinking it's kind of funny if 2 guys call me, and one guy's hauling manure and one guy's hauling rocks, and...
Rocks are exempt and manure isn't.
Right.
County hauls rocks, county don't haul manure.
County's not hauling anything today, because the frickin' low limits are on, and we had all the equipment around the lot, so...
Good transition into it.
Rocks are something you need, but there's something you need to get rid of.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I guess I'm willing to sit on a committee and gather some people together, if that's what we need to do.
How about it?
Sounds good.
First of all, we probably should find out what this actually generates for dollars.
Is McPherson County the only county, as far as you know, that has that type of a fee in place?
I think that's the only place they've ever hauled any of the material.
Well, we used to have it as part of our cable, so I imagine a lot of other counties have had it in their cable.
Whether or not they enforce it or whatever.
Yeah, whether they enforce it
Even
or not.
applicable, yeah.
And there's also
I'm
paunch
sure there was a good reason
and
for it
blood,
at the time.
and some other greases coming out of there that I don't know if these are all gonna fall under, but they're all different stuff, and they're all regulated different.
But a lot of that stuff has an out-of-state destination too. That isn't necessarily being, I mean, they get onto the state highway as soon as they possibly can, and they're out of here too. They're not repetition hauling to a specific site every day and every day and every day on the same road, on the same haul, you know, maybe for 6 months or a year or 2 years at a time. I mean, continuous.
Right. You been
A lot
around,
of that goes to Long Prairie.
were you around the,
A lot of that goes to Long Prairie.
was the Long Prairie and Redwood Falls?
Right.
Was another one.
But
you ever, I mean, did you see what happened to the 14E, the South Bypass last year? And that was all, you know, people want to jump on B&B for the road blowing apart over there. It didn't help anything. But most of the damage was done in the spring with the cattle pots coming that way and the flood truck coming out that way, you know. Again, I don't want to argue with anybody, but we got to look at the whole package here, and next year someone's going to be mad because the blood truck ripped up the South Bypass, and, you know, we actually posted that for a while last year at 3 ton and then no trucks completely for a while because we couldn't keep them out of there, and then a couple guys that have personal trucks down there couldn't get in, and so.
Well, it'd be interesting, you know, if I know Larson Feedlot has now, I think that's been approved by DNR. I know they were working on it anyway. I'm not sure if it's been approved, but I'm sure they'll use 14 or 16, and there's already people complaining about 14 because of all the bean trucks on there, soybean trucks on there, and I realize that there again, I'll go back to what I said before, that the soybeans, I mean, they can the county has gone out and stopped people from tearing up roads when they were in bad shape and they were out there, probably even with the load limits having just come off, and maybe should have stayed on a road here or there for a little bit longer.
Yep.
And so that those trucks are gonna, they gotta go. And that material is the pit's full, they gotta go, and they stay within the load limits, they're gonna be out there. So the beans, they can wait. Yeah. So.
Sounds good.
Well, I guess, I don't know who's gonna head the committee, but you said you would, Ross said he would. Try to
Yeah,
put-
we'll help out with drafting or anything. It's, you know, if any one of those, you guys, you gotta put your name on it, so.
I guess my curiosity is just how many dollars are we talking, because I think Dirk makes a good point. The bean truck, the blood truck, the manure truck, which truck should be on, which truck shouldn't be on, I guess that's where I think it's gonna get real confusing as far as, you know, you might call it a fairness thing.
Well, I have a problem zeroing in on one industry and one specific plant, you know, and it's only applicable to them the way it sounds. That's my issue, like you said, fairness.
And I don't know what kind of ruckus that's gonna create when you start
Right.
going down that road, because I see there's gonna be some problems that are gonna be overlooked when we start this thing. I can just see what's gonna happen here with, you know, you get the soybean plant, I believe they're hauling pretty heavy out there right now.
Good Lord, that's like
You know?
nothing I've ever seen.
I went by
All the
the other day, and I
time.
think every lane was full, 10 deep. So, you know, all of a sudden you say, we're gonna charge you, but you got the bean truck right on 14 where they're gonna go, and they're not being, I just think it's gonna be a real hard thing to monitor and control. But I guess that's why a committee would probably be able to,
Maybe should be a toll on that road.
That'd be all right. That'd be all right.
They
Just
talk-
go down and get a little shack from federal surplus and set it up there, and, but then see, we gotta pay a guy to stand there unless we're gonna automate it, which will probably cost about $35,000 on the front, and then, we'll have
We
to
leased
have
it out as a little coffee shop thing.
There we go.
Sell hamburgers.
No, we don't need another restaurant.
That's it.
I told you, we can sell right away access. It's out there.
You know, they, coming out
Put
of...
fiber in the ditch.
There you go.
On the Forbes Watauga Road coming out in McPherson County, coming out of it, I know I'm sitting on Brown County Commission, not McPherson County Commission, but they, there's been talk of a toll, on the state line because of all the trucks that come out of North Dakota coming right down the Forbes Watauga Road to the Glacier Lakes ethanol plant. I mean, it's one semi after the other, after the other, after the other hauling corn, and they've got that road absolutely annihilated, and, you know...
I'd like to put a toll on water coming out of Jamestown.
There we go. 14 is the same way. If you look at the traffic on 14 north of State 10, over half of that's North Dakota. It's not that much of it South Dakota up there.
And they talked about, you know, what they could do to get a toll in there to get some revenue off of it.
Haven't seen it yet.
There's like 2 places in South Dakota where there's enough traffic that a toll would be profitable. You'll get some money back, but I think the traffic count up there, which I don't have a map up here, but I'm guessing that traffic count on Road 5 is 250 maybe in a day. So,
As I suggested to Commissioner Kipley, then we can start charging the gate fee at the fair too.
that would be fine.
What's the fence cost for around the fairgrounds?
Don't hit me, don't hit me.
$750 million fence just to collect a dollar.
Yeah, to collect a dollar, make a lot of sense.
well, let's see if we get a committee put together and see where this ends up.
Sure.
Next item, we have, looks like we're declaring some patrol car surplus. We have a right-of-way
You
There
got
we go.
patrol cars, sir?
No, they're patrols, blades, the road
Oh.
graders.
Patrol surplus, okay,
Yeah.
I thought, when I see patrol, I think of cars right away, I guess.
I know, in 2000 when I started here, it took me about a year before I knew what the hell they were talking about. too, so.
He's thinking red lights is back.
Yeah, it's like- yeah, the patrols I'm used to, you didn't want to be around them that much.
Well, I gotta tell you the story real briefly. I went out to see Dirk the other day because one of the officers in the police department owns some property that might have some gravel and stuff. So I went out to Dirk and said, one of the sergeants in the police department wants to talk to you. He's like, what?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Automatic reaction.
Yeah,
First thing I wanted to do is declare a couple patrols surplus, road graders surplus. They're, one's an 08 Komatsu, and it's just kind of at the end of the line there. It's doesn't have as many hours as a lot of them we have, but it's only two-wheel drive, and it's just time for it to go. It's been an extra machine, not extra, but it's been like one of our snow blades for several years now. And the other one's a 2011 Volvo. We bought it in 2011. It's actually, well, I think we had about the last year they made Champion, and then close to last year they made Volvo blades. We had one of each. It's a decent machine. We had to replace a motor here in it a couple of years ago, but I want to put those two on Purple Wave. So we'll need to declare them surplus, and Kathy, do whatever it is I did wrong last time when I screwed it up. I can't, you gotta...
We're doing it right.
I'll move it.
Second.
How many motor graders we have now?
This will take us down to 6, so we can get rid of those. We just bought that John Deere at the start of the year and a Caterpillar, and that's basically replacing those two. I don't expect to buy another one for a few years, but you know how that goes.
You have steering wheels?
They do. They do.
And joysticks, or just
Yep.
steering wheel?
Yep. Well, both. The new Cat just has a steering wheel, but our John Deere's are GP. You can run them either way. They all run them with the steering wheel.
Sure.
Actually, I put one guy in the new Cat. He didn't want it, so for the rest of his life, he gets his old blade now.
We got a motion from Piker, a second by Sutton to declare 2 patrol surplus. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
We're having fun.
Yeah. All right, let's do a few right-of-ways. The first one is for Kyle Saltz. It's going to be installed by Schmitz, and it's some directional boring. It's down on Road 21 here, where we got a crappy road right now. Right next to 18 in the river bottom. It's just to run a water source the other side of the road.
Moved by Sutton, second by Piker to approve the right-of-way for Kyle, what's the last name? Schultz. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I did have 7 right-of-ways now for Northern Valley, but one of them was in Spink County, and I didn't figure they'd want us to approve it for them, so I threw that one out. So there's 6 of them. I'll just go through them. They're all kind of in the same area. It's sort of like what I did last time, and you guys can just do one motion for all 6, if that's all right with you, Kathy. Okay, this is County Road 14, starting at 391. Excuse me, not 391. Always draws these backwards. 147. We're starting all the way down here, 1 mile north of county line, and coming all the way up into the back door of right up to the airport, right up past the bypass and all the way up into the back door of the airport. So, doing away.
I'll move over.
We're gonna do them all.
Oh, you can do them all.
And then this would be the east-west component of that. This would be Road 14 coming up. And then this goes over to Joby and around. And this goes over to 281. Cool? The next one's on County Road 21, starting at 281, and going over to Nahon. Right here, just starting right there and all the way over to County Road 14. Oh, actually this one includes all the way to 16, I'm sorry. So that goes all the way to there like that. And it's all this is just rebuilding and updating their stuff. This one's on 23 from 388. Right there, 2 miles over to, that goes all the way to 16. 394. 1 mile short of 16, so pretty much through the river bottom there. And the last one of this, oh, there's 2 more, I guess. This one's County Road. I'm going to do this one last because that might elicit some more discussion. This one's County Road 10. I think it's clear down on the south. This is only for 2 miles down here on 10 from 145, 2 miles north, 143. And the last one is 25 from 14 in 2 miles to that section line. It's, I'm assuming that's Oliver's Farm. It's right there overlooking the river. So I'd recommend all these. And
Second.
Got a motion by Sutton, a second by Kipling to approve the 7 right-of-ways for NBC. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
You know, I want to bring up that 25 since I just said something about it. That mile is closed, so you can get over to this township road and then you get in these 2 miles to that township road. And this is all what drops down in the bottom. We still have it closed. We haven't done anything with it. We got 1 mile that's closed down there. I know Scott Mites called me because he was at the township meeting and they were asking questions about it. I am just kind of, I have no plans for it. If it's something that we start getting a bunch of kickback or you got to run your hay hauler through there or something.
I don't have it anymore.
Oh, that's right. That's why the roads are holding up. But
I was paying my wheel tax.
So I don't know if you guys have a feeling about that down there. I don't know if anyone's been saying anything to you.
What's the condition of the road and what's the issue with it?
Well, it was underwater for over a year, and I thought the road didn't slope away as much as I thought. There's a couple oxbows down in there that usually eats into the road, but they didn't. We've thrown enough riprap on there over the years. I think it kind of held it together. It wasn't too bad. Now it's mostly just cattails and trees and stuff, and it'd be a mile of gravel. You know, I don't know if, like 16B, we hear about that because guys farm on both sides of it, and that's actually another, for some people, it's a shorter way to get into town. What happened with those is because the river was in flood stage for so long, which actually if we could ever fix the definition of a flood from FEMA and ER and how they define that, because our terrain up here does not fit into their definition of a flood very well. I mean, those two were underwater so long that they basically timed out of the system. And our instructions were to call the state, and then they would contact FEMA whenever the time came that those were ready to be repaired. Well, I called the state, and they forwarded my call to FEMA. And now I'm here with you today talking about it a year later. So I never did hear anything. Scott said he would maybe rattle their cage if we wanted him to, or if we wanted him to. But as of right now, I wasn't going to do anything too expensive or crazy down there unless someone is really pushing for it. You know, I'd like to put up barricades that are a permanent situation and make it a nature area, but I don't want to have to manage the nature area, so I don't want to say that too loud. So, I don't know, you guys, we can go look at it. We go on a field trip sometime, because we got a few things like that I should show you guys so you know whether or not that we're spending money on. So, anyway, that wasn't really on the agenda. I just wanted to comment on Road 25, because we don't talk about it very much. Maybe worth a look. Yep. Bridge resolution from last week. To inspect the bridges, I'd recommend that we run that through if we could.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Piker, second by Weiss, to authorize chair to sign the bridge inspection resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I had load limits on there, what else do I have on the agenda?
That's it.
Oh, that, we got, yeah, thank you. I actually called her this morning, if I don't bring this up, remind me. We got our STP money, which we get every year, our little remnant of the federal highway bill. And it had, what was it, is it like 525?
530.
530?
Mhm.
Which is, yeah, I told you I was gonna bring that with me, and then I didn't. That's about, what was that COVID? We got an extra 89,000 more than what we normally
Yep,
get.
the $89,169.21 was the COVID portion of it.
So, my only point in bringing any of this up, we did get, so we got some more random COVID money that came through with our federal highway money, it's what our federal highway money, it's actually state money, but after the state launders it and gives it to us, then it's state money. We got about, like in my budget, I think the budget had a 425,000 that was gonna be funded with that, and there's 530,000. So, I may come at a later date with a specific use for that 100,000. Right now, it wouldn't be in the budget, but, or there'd be no spending authority for it.
Not for a new motor grader though.
Yeah, it probably won't be for another motor grader. So anyway, I just wanted to pass that along, that I guess that was all right. We did get $100,000 more than what we expected that to be, so that's all right. And then there was also a small reimbursement, which was a retainage for the flood raise work we did, down by Fernie. That was like 18,000 that came back, and there's another 26 coming. It's the retainage from those projects. They hold the last 10%. So, and then load limits. I know, boy, the first time in a long time, all 5 commissioners have called me in between meetings. And I guess I expected some of that to some extent. The main issue is that we posted 14 between 11 here and down to the Elm River Bridge. And, you know, the whole system is set up so there's one road into every town. This used to be the one to Columbia, and yes, this one has been open for a long time. There's one way into Stratford, it's from Fernie over. There's one way into Columbia, or Claremont, it's this way. Now, you can beat around in Marshall County and sneak around and come in on some gravel, and since we milled this 2 miles up, it's not posted, so you can come in off the hills and come in that way.
Unless you're hauling manure.
Unless you're hauling manure. You know, side note, one time, when that was still paved and posted, there's a colony over here, I can't remember which one, they had a crane.
Newport.
Yeah, and they frequently call and get permits to haul their crane over those 2 miles. One time he called me and he says, yeah, Dirk, I need a permit. And about that time I could hear Officer Friendly outside going, yeah, can I see your permit and your registration? And you're a little late. When I could hear him arresting you, you're too late. So, but anyway, and then, you know, we got one way into Mansfield. I'm not sure about what Spring County's got. I know it's posted permanently going down to Mansfield, so there's basically one way to get in there. This is always, we've had 2 ways to get to Columbia, and it was mostly because this bridge was always posted and you couldn't get a full load from 281 over there. And so that was the solution. Now, if this is something you want back open, then I'm going to recommend that we close 11 from here to here, because the folks in the folks in Stratford would love to have the road south of Bath open so that they don't have to go over to Fernie to come in with the load. The Schwann's guy got an overweight on this mile one time, because if you go west out of Stratford, it's posted. And they're having an ice cream sale, and he was overweight. He's okay over here. So, once this bridge was replaced so there's no posting, this is redundant to have this road open. The other thing is we can't write permits. We write permits to the garbage trucks, and we write permits to undivisible loads coming out of hog confinements. But there's not a mechanism for writing a permit when spring load limits are on. And I'm doing some peril by even pointing that out, because we do it. And I do know that if the highway patrol pulls them over and they got a permit, they'll say okay. I know in multiple counties, the garbage guys get a couple overweights every year because they absolutely will not write them permits. There's not a provision for it in state law to write a permit when spring load limits are on. So I don't know what's ever gonna happen if somebody, one of them undivisible hog confinements, gets pulled over somewhere and somebody actually goes all the way through the whole process. And I know everybody's, Ross is going, Dirk, shut the hell up, would you? But, I mean, that's the thing that I get put with every year, drives me nuts. We gotta write permits for the garbage trucks. Garbage truck is overweight empty. So what are we gonna do? Let the garbage sit, and then you guys are yelling at me because the people at Richmond are mad because nobody will come pick up the garbage?
Or the elm.
Or an elm, I just,
Pick a spot.
yeah, pick anywhere. So that's my deal with that. So that's why it's posted. I know not popular. I got a handful of phone calls, and so there's my explanation.
And the posting's no guarantee either.
No.
I was trying to find it. I had a picture from several years ago of a fuel truck that was buried to the axles, and it was legal
Yeah.
on a county road.
Prior to rebuilding Road 6 around the lake, that was a frequent occurrence.
And up on 14, north.
Yep.
Yep, that's where it was.
Oh, really? So
So we're trying.
that's my explanation.
I haven't heard any motions to change anything yet, so.
Just a minute on that Highway
Yeah.
14 deal.
Yep.
Have anybody looked and seen what he opened up going between the Hall Road and going west? Because right now it was breaking up before they put the load limits on, and now I wouldn't haul trucks down it. I mean, he says the bridge is done except for the approaches, and that's a disaster to try to haul over that with semis. And like I said, I wouldn't leave the yard, take the gravel truck, or take the road down that right now. I mean, I got pictures of how bad it's broke up already. I mean, if they started hauling out of the pit, that road's gonna become impassable just about immediately.
You're saying west of the bridge?
Well, from Hall's Road going west.
Coming out of the pit, going west.
Yep, I mean, he's got it he's got red flags the whole mile all the way to 281. I mean, I don't understand why we destroyed that part when 14, I mean, all you're protecting is 3 miles on 14. I mean, you took a good road that's been taking the traffic. This year shouldn't be an issue with we didn't have as much moisture. The frost issue shouldn't be as bad. I mean, my big complaint is because I can see the dang sign for my deal on weak stage grain to try to get down 14. I mean, did we miss something that said we're going to change this deal that's been this way forever?
No. There was a little bit of discussion about it last year when we opened the bridge back up or replaced the bridge, and no, but there wasn't. We didn't sit down and have a discussion. There's 3 changes that were made this year, and this is one of them. The other 2, we didn't have to put them on yet because the road didn't blow up and they're on gravel. So I'm not discounting what happened to the road. We trashed everything plowing snow the other day and made it significantly worse. But I don't necessarily agree with you. I would rather wreck a bad road, make it worse, than risk wrecking a new road.
Yeah, but the deal is, like I said, we're not saving anything. I mean, 14 is a proven road, that part. We wouldn't have destroyed that, and we wouldn't have wrecked the other one for the amount of traffic that we're pulling out of there. I mean, you've got Rotelli's, you got Larson's up there.
Yep.
If you'd have left that 16-ton, or if you'd have left that posted that road, we wouldn't be pulling the soybean guys off. You know, not that I can't believe that many of them were beating themselves to death over that bridge.
Right, anyway.
But it's like I said, for the minimal amount of traffic that we had, that you're now forcing down, for us, it's gonna be a 12-mile round trip extra
Yep.
to get to me to the bean plant. And like I said, our limiting factor is the gravel roads that we take to get out. So we lighten up anyway.
Just
trying
to get over to the county
Just to
road.
get to the county
Sure.
road so that we know that we're not destroying both ends of it.
Right.
But, like I said, right now, I wouldn't haul, I mean, if I gotta make a 12-mile extra round trip,
Right.
I mean, not round trip, 12 miles one way,
Right.
I'm gonna make sure I'm pulling the pup and got everything on there I can get, because,
We do the exact same thing. I mean,
and I wouldn't, like I said,
I understand it.
for the 3 miles, through that curve, and it's low speed because you ain't building up enough speed there. I mean, I wouldn't object, I mean, even if it was a 40 mile an hour limit all the way to
all
the way. I mean,
Right. And as far as the 40-mile limit goes, I'm not the firm believer in that either, because I'm keeping the heavy load on the road longer the slower you're driving. So that isn't a solution for it either. I understand why you're upset. I get it, but my whole point is I'm trying to keep the vehicles off the road. I mean, I am. I know everyone looks at it as we're trying to prevent commerce or targeting certain people, but it's not. If I had my way, nothing would be open. Nothing would move. It's not realistic. I know I mean, I'm only
but I mean, the
here
big
because
deal
we got a
is
bunch
if
of corn.
we can't get down that road anymore, are we gonna get 14 back? I mean, the deal is I mean, you're so close to, from what it looks like, the intersection on the
Right.
old highway that don't look like that's gonna take much more before it starts breaking up, and you get over the hill on the last half mile up to the highway. I mean,
Right, if it gets impassable, we would open it up.
Which
But
does-
but
like
we're
it's
gonna
just-
go do, I mean, we would go do work on it prior to that and make it, keep it passable, you know?
Well, I guess it begs the question, when is that gonna get rehabbed to the point that we're gonna bring it back?
Well, we've started, for instance, see the blue line down there in 23, we've started targeting the areas that get posted. The one exception where we spent some money on a road that gets posted is the Tacoma Park Road, but part of that was because of the flood repair. But 11, do I have anything on, you know, we're gonna work on it, what one's red? I can't see my own map there. But yeah, that's gonna get reconstructed now that the bridge is fixed. I mean, that road shouldn't have had any loads going over it last year, the bridge was posted. So it doesn't surprise me that it blew up. It's never had traffic like this since the bridge got put back, unless guys were going over it illegal. And I bet that never happened, so.
So when is that rehab scheduled to happen?
What's the one's red?
Carrie, did you have some pictures you wanted to show us?
23.
So that's something you might want to
let's see,
accelerate?
page through.
What's your name?
Harry Howell.
Nice to meet you.
So Carrie lives right on the Ordway curve, just south of their
Okay.
State Farm.
Yeah, we're right there at the 125th. And like you said, if something opens up on the gravel pits there at all, they're done. I don't think, I mean, they're just gonna get to the point where I don't think you can maintain it.
Well, we got.
And it's good, I mean, it's good going west, east, from the gravel pits going east up to 14's, I mean, you've rebuilt that.
They do.
So in retrospect, given the option, would you rather see 14 open to Columbia Highway and close going west?
Well, that's what I'm saying, is I mean, I don't know that the way that road's given up now, it'd be different if 14 was gonna be marginal, but it's been holding for years, and it's not breaking up. I don't understand why we're gonna spend a ton of money even maintaining that going west, when you've got a viable option to put it back the way it was before. I mean, not only helping me, but I'm looking at for everybody else over there too, that, I mean, it's a disaster of going west, that once you get from that, going down the hill to the bridge.
I'm trying to envision the calls I got this week of which people would be calling if we swap it from the west, not being able to go. Who else are we affecting if we...
I mean, the big deal is the people that live there, that the road is destroyed now, that they won't have any, I don't know who would be want to go west versus Shawneman's,
I don't know.
because the traffic that you're pushing on that road now, besides pushing it out on a 2-lane highway where before, for us to go west terminal, we were going down to Purvis's corner, we finally got that disaster cleaned up so I can get through there without killing myself.
You know, I haven't been on 11 from Hall Pit West probably for 6 weeks, maybe, something like that. But my experience there is the entrance, the bridge, going on and off the bridge, oh my God.
Yeah, like I said, to try to pull.
That is terrible. The rest of it, you know, I guess, and I haven't, like I say, I haven't been on it since probably for 6 weeks, so I don't know how bad it's gotten since then, but boy, oh boy, that that bridge, and I mean, I'm sure that when spring comes, you got plans to fix it or to do something with it, and don't make not a whole lot you can do there in the middle of the winter. I mean, what are you gonna do to hold anything there? You know, and you can send the blade up there every day,
Sure.
and you're still gonna have washboard so bad that it's amazing the radiator stays in the truck at 5 miles an hour.
It's a 3-inch drop that you got that's off the asphalt and then back up on the back up onto the bridge that,
But I guess I, to start off with, wouldn't be in favor of putting load limits on 11, because you're gonna have a lot of phone calls there too, no question. I mean, it's gonna be probably worse phone calls.
Well, I gotta be honest, I was just excited the bridge got done and that we could use it this winter, and I don't know, I would say there's something to be said for packing that in well, because you sure don't wanna do something too quick and go
Exactly.
pave it and,
That's why
There wasn't even asphalt available by the time that got done last year.
so I can't complain on that.
yeah, no, I was just thrilled too that it was
We'll
open.
figure out something to do with Road 11 today, all right? From 14 going west.
Well, I live up there, and 11 has always been pretty good when the
You
load
know,
limits
if we got
are
all
on.
gravel on the hole,
Well, the load
whatever,
restrictions
I
on the
don't care.
bridge.
If we gotta get out the milling machine.
And
we'll do
last
that
year there
too.
wasn't any because the bridge was being built.
All right?
And
All right,
naturally
thanks.
nothing happened
Hey,
in the fall.
if
But I will
somebody
tell you,
cuts
the
up their
last 2.5
approaches
weeks, you can't believe how
on the
that road is
bridge.
peeling apart.
He's already doing it today, all
The
right?
scary part about milling is we don't know
Thank
when
you.
he's gonna go surface it again.
I didn't say anything about milling.
It might sit there for years. Or, excuse me, depaving.
Well, I'm not gonna recommend changing it. I appreciate Mr. Howell's concerns, and they aren't unexpected. We'll go with, just told Ken we'll go up there right now, figure something out, so we can get it, see if we can help to keep it passable. If you guys wanna change it, that's up to you, but if you're gonna start doing the load limits like that, I'm gonna bring them to you. You're gonna tell me when they're gonna go off and what we're putting them on and all that. I'm sorry, but I do have a system. I know it's not always popular, and it's a really easy way it costs us $80 to protect them 3 miles of road. 2 signs. And I know it probably costs Mr. Howell more than that, but that's the way I
yeah,
look at
especially
it.
when we're trying to figure out stuff for hauling grain, and then all of a sudden, at the last minute, we drive by and there's a sign there saying, with no idea that things were, I mean, when we stage grain and stuff, trying to get out, that was our deal, is that we know that at this point, we can usually catch a little bump in the markets. Like I said, it'd been nice to have a little more head notice on the deal.
And that's something that we will do next year. We'll come in and have a thorough discussion about any potential changes, and I'll explain why I think there needs to be. There's 2 other places we added to the list. We didn't put the signs up because we're not having trouble with it. One of them's these last 2 miles on 13. Absolutely got destroyed, and then everybody went out with box scrapers and tried to cover up what they did. So we were just gonna post it. It's so damn dry that the gravel doesn't even. And the other one is the Beef Plant Road. That one, if we put up the signs, it'll have a 3-ton load on it, because we had the same problem last year, just what I was talking about. I don't want to start that talk again, but the trucks going out to the east from the beef plant were a problem. But right now, that hasn't been. If we should get real wet in the next couple weeks, then maybe we'd look at it, but right now, no. But I do agree with Mr. Howell that we should have done a better job of coming in with you guys and making everybody aware of the changes.
Well, that's the tough part when we got bridges and they're posted for years and you're waiting to get them down on a sequence and everything changes and the road itself.
If the road itself would have maintained the traffic, but like I said, you can see, that road did maintain the traffic
Well,
as
we
it
got
is,
worse
so.
issues than that one too, but you're the one that's driving on that one, so the point's well taken, and we're gonna take steps to try and stabilize that and get after it.
Yep.
Point taken.
Okay.
You guys got anything else? No? All right. I'll be be gone the rest of the week, but you can call me for reals. I mean, I'll call you back.
Sorry to hear about your
Yeah,
mom.
yep, it was, I tell you what, for as ugly as that was, I'm glad it only went for 2 months, you know, it was, something else, but I got a lot of positive things to say about what kind of services you have available in our community though. Unbelievable, and, really good and all that kind of stuff, so. But, yeah, one of them deals. That's around. Yep, all right, have a good day.
Thank you. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks for coming in. Thank you. Let's see, Carol.
Okay, you got everything else, Cal, on your list? You gonna take care of it? Anything else come before the commission?
Yeah, if we could take your time and kind of give you a little update on the Spillman stuff, we thought we could kind of round that up with you guys a little bit, and if that's okay. I brought in some images for you to look at too, kind of gives you a little rough guess of where the maps have come and where they're going. I think I'll give you that way. So in the email I sent out, our Spillman migration is done. Tomorrow is the final day where we go to Spillman and they'll turn the key and we'll see all our new views on our admin side. The mobile side isn't going to really change a lot. So that's all went pretty well. And our map has been phenomenal. Anything we've been getting back from the deputies, the fire department, police department, everybody's just had rave reviews on what it looks like. So the models I have, this sheet right here on the top, that's what our map used to look like. That was where we came from, okay?
The limitations of what the software allows the map to look like.
Yep. And then, so the next page, we have a few different views that the dispatchers can choose. There's actually 3 views. This view is considered the day view. This one would be the night view. And I just zoomed in so you can see that some of the detail with it. And you can go further than that with it. And then there's also a imagery view that looks like Google Earth that you can see. And I didn't take a screenshot of that one. We want to try and keep most of the users off of that because it takes so much data to try to even run that just because of the overall detail. So the popular view so far, a lot of the, I know in the dispatch center they've been running on the night view. They like the darker background with the blue roads. They show up a lot better in there. And actually, you know, where this looks so black, it's really not black on a monitor. It's more of a softer gray, but my printer just made it look black. So if you can envision that with a lighter tone of gray in there. But the things they can do with this now, there's a tab up in the, which you can't see it on this view, but right up in the upper corner over here, there's a tab there. So let's say they can type in Walmart. It'll go and pin it immediately to that address. Oh, yep, that's the address. They'll put it in the call, dispatch the troops and go. And that works both ways. They can do that in the vehicles as well. And the other thing in the vehicles they can do, they can right-click. Well, like here's a call down here, so they can right-click on that call in the vehicle and say open in Google Maps. So it'll open in Google Maps, and you can put the directions in there. It'll give them turn-by-turn directions so you can get there. It's fantastic. I mean, kudos to the GIS and planning and zoning and all the work that went into that. We're working through a few things now that we get it up and running. There's a few limitations on speed. So Pat and his IT group are working on upgrading some RAM just to make it so it's a little more real time. When they zoom in on it, it'll zoom in right away. My computer's got quite a bit of RAM in it, so mine I can zoom in and it's almost instantaneous for me. But other than that, things are going okay. You know, we've had a lot of, I don't know, Scott and I are quite frustrated with the Spillman group as far as the lack of communication that we've received back. We haven't heard back from our engineer since last Wednesday, and we're trying to work through some things with him. We've called him, left voicemails, everything. You know, just, I don't know. So and we've gone off the line there. So
not sure what's going on there, but
Initially, this was supposed to be 3 weeks of in-person training between me and IT and his group and mobile users, and then it went to virtual. Then it went to basically, we've received 10 hours so far for the
Right.
10,000 we paid.
right. So there's gotta be some
So,
conversations to be
We're
had
not
here.
getting the customer service that we were expecting with this upgrade. But-
It's coming along, but we got, there's a few things that we're trying to work through. And then with that upgrade we're taking tomorrow, we had a couple issues with some call comments that weren't working for the dispatch side and the law. This should be, this patch we're getting tomorrow already, should take care of that bug that was on the newest version that we got. So, but that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Is that real time? You can see where the patrol cars are?
Yep, and you can
It
actually...
kind of reminds me of an app my kid downloaded. It's like
Yeah.
a video game here.
Yeah, and you can
icons.
You can actually click on a vehicle going on the road. If you were to right-click where the vehicle is, and you can say, click the info button, it'll tell you how fast they're going down the highway, what their coordinates are, everything. I mean, there is a ton of detail in this map, and what it'll do, and it's only going to get better. The more work that goes into it, it's phenomenal.
Won't be long, and all you'll have to do is push the button in the fire truck or the squad car, and it'll take you to the location.
Yeah, it's coming.
Well, routing is something available in the new software, and that's one of the things that I'm hoping Motorola will work through with us, is the different options for doing that. I mean, that's one of the things I know APD and AFD were really hoping for. Of course, there's a lot of data that needs to feed that, what roads are open, what direction of travel, speed limits, all of that. Same kind of stuff that Google Maps would use for routing, we need to make sure we're using locally, but, there's a lot of functionality that we can look at. Also hyperlinking to other documents, building blueprints and other things that we ought to be able to do that we're hoping they will teach us about,
reports, images, incidents.
Yeah, so a lot of the new functionality they haven't even touched on. We basically went live and then we haven't heard a beep. So, but I will say, just to kind of reiterate with the different parts of it, the data validation, I think we were previously about 68% with the old validation, and after all the work on the 911 data itself, on building the address points with the common names like Walmart and such, and then also cleaning up the phone companies' telephone number directories. I mean, there was that whole part of it to make sure they had current addresses with phone numbers listed and things. Once we got done with all that, we were hitting over 99%. We're only one of 5 counties throughout the state that's actually hitting in those percentages. So we were recognized for that recently. And so, I mean, the data part is I'm not saying as good as we can get it, but I mean, I never would have thought we were going to get to this point that it would be as good as it was. And they love the common name part of it, where they can type in if they type in McDonald's, it'll give them a choice of which one. If they type in another common name, it really is, and it's pinpoint. It doesn't now just verify along a road. It'll do that as a default if it doesn't have an address point. But it literally looks for the address point, takes you exactly to where I put it on the map to say this is the entrance to this structure. So that if you got a big quarter section, 160 acres, and you might have multiple structures with multiple addresses, it tells you which structure you're actually going to and which driveway to take. It's going to save some time.
Boat ramps, campgrounds, that's always a problem area. Well, Scott's got that set up where...
Trailer park, lot
numbers.
numbers.
It's all in there.
We're just going to build on it.
Yeah, and if you type in Elm Lake, the South Boat ramp shows up, the ramp by Resort does, all those locations there do. Dispatcher just scrolls down, yep, that's my one, hits it, pins the map, and away they go.
And on top of that, we can reverse geocode. So if somebody says, I'm up at Elm Lake in this location, and describes it to a dispatcher, they can right-click on the map, and they can hit reverse geocode, and it'll pull up any address points that we have within that area and give a list of potential addresses or locations, so then they can dispatch to it. So there's some great functionality to it. So now it's just tweaking things and trying to get Spillman to help us with some of that tweaking and training.
And this is part and parcel of why it's important to be as fussy as we are sometimes with some of the stuff we do on planning and zoning when it comes to access points and those kinds of things, so.
Yeah,
You
it's,
can utilize that information here accurately to get emergency response there.
it's phenomenal. It just, from where it came to where it is now, it's like, it's not even the same animal.
Mhm.
So, thank you guys for
Very
all
cool.
your
Thank
help
you
with
much.
that.
Thanks for being patient this
And I
morning.
was gonna, also, Doug and Rachel, I submitted that documentation to the state too, for what's this, for the grant. So, just so you guys know that went in
Good.
yesterday, so, okay?
And what piece did we end up, for the payroll, or what did you end up, I forget what we submitted?
No, that was for the council,
Gotcha.
the software, and then the 2 Viper.
And that'll use it all up?
Yeah, we're a little long, but I put it all in there anyways,
Yep.
to see where it goes, so.
Sounds
See
good.
how that pans out, so.
Good.
I think that's all we got, right? Otherwise, we'll just kinda keep working through these little bugs, and, you know, I've been working pretty close with IT and everything, and they've been right on the ball with everything.
IT's had a huge part of this.
Yeah.
Pat needs recognition along with the other guys for all the server setup, having to get new software on the servers and doing a lot of that stuff that Pat was never a part of previously and came in blindly and I wasn't a part of, or Kent.
Mhm.
You know, Paul always kind of did all the server maintenance and software maintenance, so we all had to kind of just struggle through that, but, yeah, IT did a big part.
Yeah, fantastic.
So make sure we have the ability to be able to support all of this.
Yeah, now we're working off of new servers, updated software, making sure the speed's where it needs to be. I think we're in a good position going forward.
That's a good report.
We're good for 6 months.
Yeah, right,
Still, it's all obsolete.
Probably until next meeting.
Right. Okay, well, that's all we have, so, thanks you guys.
Thanks,
Appreciate
guys.
it.
For the update.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Alrighty.
Anything else to come before the commission?
Well, just so you guys are aware, I kind of talked to you about that landowner that wants to do tiling, and I talked to Dirk, and he said, I don't really care what people do in their fields as long as it's not affecting our infrastructure. If it goes into a slough, and then also talked to Scott Bader in Planning and Zoning, and he said, no, we've not had anybody do anything since I've been here as far as permits and stuff like that, and Gary never required it anything, so I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page if people are tiling fields and doing all that stuff, since we've kind of limited what we do as a drainage board. I told the guy just go for it, as long as he didn't have a problem with the neighbors and he wasn't draining on county infrastructure, that there was nothing we were requiring. So I just wanted to make sure everybody else was on that same page.
Just hope it don't come back to haunt us.
Don't they normally get that through the NRC and all that stuff cleared through
Yeah,
that?
I think there's other places they have to go
They
for
have to-
hoops, but he was wondering countywide if we had to be able to give a plan to some
But I
places
think they do have to clear it through the DNRA and Natural
NRCS,
Resources.
no.
Yeah, they,
I just wonder about utilities and all that. I mean, I wonder if there's any, you know, like fiber optics and all those kinds of things. Is there any,
Let's just call 411 and tell them.
do they tie onto that? Those,
I don't know that.
no.
I was just worried about this.
Yeah.
That's what I was questioned on, so I needed to
Well, I
get an
just hope that
answer.
at some point in time they don't, you know, 10, 15 years down the road, it doesn't come back on the county and, why did you guys let that happen? What the hell did you do? You know, I guess like a lot of other things,
Yeah.
you're limited.
All right, that's all I had.
Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss to adjourn. All in favor?